Hello citizens and welcome back. In today's video I would like to talk about the concept ship pipeline in Star Citizen, its issues and how it could be improved. As always, if you like this video, sacrifice a like and a comment to the YouTube algorithm and subscribe for more. And here's a shout out to our amazing patrons for their support of the channel and the Armory. If you would like to join them, please check out my Patreon or consider becoming a channel member on YouTube. So what do I mean when I say concept pipeline? I mean the process that CAG used to manage their concept ships from their creation, announcement, follow-up information and subsequent implementation. Today I would like to specifically focus on how CAG communicates news with already announced concepts and how they announce new ones. I think that we can split ships in Star Citizen into several categories. Released ships, ships currently being worked on, concepts and unannounced ships. We can further split each of those categories by whether the ship has its core gameplay implemented or not, but I will come back to that later. The reason I'm making this video is that many backers are upset that CAG are releasing new straight-to-flyable ships and concepts while little to no news is being given about the old concepts. And that some concepts don't really make any sense, for example the Legionnaire, because their core gameplay is not even designed yet, making it very difficult for backers to make a decision about buying them. But let's go back to the start. Why is CAG releasing straight-to-flyable ships instead of working on already existing concepts? Well, I will use the new medical Pisces as an example. Most straight-to-flyable ships we've seen are relatively small and don't bring new gameplay. I think the largest straight-to-flyable concept we had was the Valkyrie a few years ago. I think the reason small ships keep appearing is very simple. CAG is hiring new developers and artists to work on the project. And even though these new hires are often experienced in the field, it is better to assign them to a smaller project first to learn the process used at CAG. And I think that's how the C8R was created, because if you look at it, it's just a Pisces with pieces from the Carrack Medical Bay. My point is, these are relatively small projects compared to the rest of the concept backlog. But okay, so why is CAG releasing new concepts then? Doesn't that increase the backlog? Yes it does, but the most likely explanation is that they simply need these new concepts. And not just for sales though, but then why? To answer that question, I think we need to take a look at what are the major blockers preventing work on concept ships that are currently in the backlog. I think we can boil it down to two main problems, one very obvious and one much less so. The obvious problem is that some ships such as the Legionnaire or the Expanse or even the Orion and Merchantman don't have their associated gameplay implemented or planned. And I would expect at least some of those to release with the associated gameplay. The other problem is a bit more complicated. The pipeline for building a ship for Star Citizen is very complex, and with every ship completed, CAG gains new experience that is put towards improving that pipeline. However, I imagine that even at this very advanced stage, CAG might be struggling, especially with the initial design of some of the ship lines. And I think this is mostly because some of the manufacturers don't have their design language evolved too well. The problem is definitely making development of the Banu Merchantman very difficult, as the only other Banu ship is the Defender, and it must be difficult to apply the design language at such different scales. On the other hand, reworking or adding new ships into the RSI lineup, for example, is probably pretty easy, as there are many examples of the design language and many models of various parts of the ship already done that can be reused. And this is the primary reason why I think CAG are introducing new concept ships, to fill the design language and pre-made components gap and to make further development easier. Okay, so that's why we have new concepts, but how can CAG make the marketing side of things a little bit better? Well, I have two main suggestions in this area. First is very obvious. CAG, for the love of God, proofread your concept pages and documents. Pretty much every concept release we had in the last 2 years had some mistake in the documentation, which was later discovered and fixed, causing an outrage in the community. It's not that these mistakes are major, it's that CAG could save themselves a lot of drama if someone took half an hour to check the posts and the brochures. The second suggestion is related to the fact that very often after a concept ship is initially announced and the sale ends, we won't get any update on it for months or years, which is not great. This suggestion might sound a bit counterintuitive from the point of view of sales, at least initially, but I think long term it would actually help. We know that white box is now a part of the concept process to give CAG a better idea of the final scale of the ship and to prevent major changes like we've seen with the Carrack. So we can say that when new concepts are announced, they have been at least through the first step towards implementation. But there is no expectation of them going further depending on the development schedule. So here's my idea. When a new concept exits the white box stage and is ready to be revealed, CIG will put out an announcement that a new ship concept was created. They will put together a small brochure for the ship and do the usual Q&A but without a sale. Now, later on, when CIG start working on the ship further, they will do the sale and possibly release a longer brochure with more up-to-date information. This would help backers make a more informed choice in regards to the capabilities of the ship and the timeline for release. Plus, it would greatly improve communication with the backers. I think CIG actually came very close to this with the Polaris, because I think we had pretty regular updates on the ship as it's going through the pipeline. And with that being said, that's it for tonight. What do you think? Is CIG marketing failing to promote new concepts effectively? Would a different approach help? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, fly safe, and I will see you in the verse.